Hello. I'm making this video for those of you who want to do I'm going to call it a budget Harbinger build. It's, I would say, a lower budget Harbinger build. You know, the problem with most Harbinger builds is that, well, almost all, I think all Harbinger builds, is that they rely on the voices. And if you use a cheap voices jewel, then you're really not that well off and the build doesn't really shine. But if you use an expensive voices jewel, I mean, even one step above the worst, you're looking at, let me pull it up here, 5-socket passives that grant nothing, roughly 19 exalts each, and you need 3 of those, so 60 exalts right off the bat, and that's for mediocre. If you want something great, like what you'll see the streamers using, apparently they're only 3 chaos. No, they're 2 mirrors. And well, the streamers are using what, 3 to 4 of those because they can. No, you don't need all that at all. Granted, if you can afford it, awesome, go for it. They're fantastic, probably. But I went out and made my own build when Harbinger builds were first starting to become popular. Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say they'd gained some momentum, and I saw it, and just like everyone else, I was like, wow, that looks really incredible. I think the name of the build I saw was the Immortal Man. It looked insane, and I wanted to give it a try, but I knew I couldn't afford it at that point in the game. So I just started scrounging things together and trying to make what would work on a budget. And I ended up making something great. And the beautiful thing about the build I'm going to share with you is that it grows as you grow. It progresses as you progress. You only need a few key items to really make it shine, and then it just keeps going and going. So not to talk forever, but so there's a couple of different paths you can take with these builds, and the main ones people are using are either they're using EK, so Ethereal Knives, I think that's what it is, EK, Spark, Arc, and I don't remember what the other one is. But I chose to go to level with Arc, or to start out with Arc, and then I moved to Spark. And the reason I didn't go EK is because, again, it's not very budget, because if you want to make EK work, you need to do conversion. And to do the conversion, you need a conversion watcher's eye. And basically, even the worst conversion watcher's eye, I mean, that's 35% or above conversion, you're looking at, no, not 1 chaos, probably 9 exalts for the worst. So you're not getting anything else cool there, but you're already spending 9 exalts on it. If you want a good one with something else that's nice on it, now you're talking, I don't know, a lot. It gets expensive. So the key to my build, is not to use voices and to go with a skill that gives me more flexibility in my watcher's eye. So how do we get away with not using voices? Well, the large cluster jewels are actually freaking good. There are some amazing combos out there. If you use Scintillating Idea, you can get a lot more mana available to you, and so it's a lot easier to level up your clarity or level up your precision, and you can get good damage combinations like Sadist with it. And if you're doing 3 types of damage, which you should be doing, I do 369,000 cold damage, and if you notice, these are numbers, tooltip numbers in my hideout, with no charges, with no flasks up, 2 million spark damage. Now granted, at this point my gear is really good. I've been playing with it, but I didn't start out this way. But I also do fire damage and lightning damage. Now that fire damage, probably not enough to ignite, but if you use cold to fire conversion, you could definitely hit enough fire damage to get that ignite. So again, it's a nice boost. And if you have 4 of these large cluster jewels, now we're talking, like, those numbers add up. Now the one I chose to go with, and I didn't stock up on these before I made this video, so feel free to steal them, whatever, make money flipping them, I don't care. I went with, Calamitous and Precise Retaliation, because I have 4 of these. So if you look at my tree, 1, 2, 3, 4 large cluster jewels. Each Calamitous gives me a 10% chance to freeze, so we're talking 40% chance to freeze without crits. Like, it's really good, really, really good, especially when you hit as many times as Spark does. And then Precise Retaliation, now we're in the money, because that's, as a Guardian, you are always blocking. I mean, every 2 seconds you have a max block, pretty much. And Bastion of Hope, every 2 seconds, 50% chance to block. So if you look at my block chance, it cycles between 24% and 74%. So it's not max block, but it's really good. You're always blocking. So whenever you're in combat, that's up. And 40% times 4, 160% crit multi just from those. That's really good. So my Spark, when I block, hits in total, where's the number here? I forget where they put the dang crit multi. Oh, because I'm in defense. Critical strike multiplier 250 base, and if I block, add another 160 on there, you're at 410% crit multi. That's way better than the Malagaro's gloves. So we're talking really good DPS just from my large jewels, and no one else is getting those with the voices. What are they getting? Nothing. Empty nodes. So right off the bat, you're getting 40% chance to freeze and 160% crit multi that no one else is getting, and you're getting it for a steal. Now, I only mentioned 2 combos. There are a lot of combos out there that are really powerful that are being neglected because everyone's going for voices. So think about it. Give it a few tries, because you're really missing out. Now, the core of the build's the same as most of the other Harbinger builds. Where it really shines are not using voices and being extremely budget because of that. Now, I'll show you my stuff. Now, my gear's progressed. What you need, and I did this on MS Paint, just kind of show you what you need to get this going. I would say 20 exalts or less, especially if you're willing to craft your own stuff. For sure, you can get this up and running. Now, and strong. Where did I put this? I hope I didn't close it, because I made this yesterday. Haha, here we go. So Nebulous, yeah, Nebulous is really powerful, but you can get a Nebulous for 1 exalt and then hit it with a Divine Orb if you need to, or a couple of Divine Orbs if you have them around. Nebulous gives you cold damage and lightning damage for every point over your resistance cap, which can go up to 90%. So in total, granted, I'm not a great mathematician, I'm okay. So, I might get these numbers wrong. Just correct me in the comments, please. But we're talking 600% increased damage when you take that in combination with Call of the Brotherhood. So 1 Nebulous, 1 Exalt. Call of the Brotherhoods, when I put this together, they were 3 exalts each for the cheapest. They're probably like 3.5 now. That's where you're going to get hit with the most expensive thing. But man, you could probably make them with cards if you're willing to gamble a little bit for a lot less. I think the card's like called monochrome. I might be wrong on that. But anyways, 6 or 7 exalts, worth it. Worth it, because you convert all your damage, so you get both of the cold and the lightning damage from the Nebulous, but you're also getting full damage conversion, so you're basically double dipping, not true double dipping, but you're taking good advantage of damage conversion, and you are freezing everything, which to me is priceless. When I can freeze for like 3 to 4 seconds a T16 boss, nothing feels better. And frankly, it's a great, again, just a great defensive item. When you can freeze bosses and enemies across the entire screen, you're safe, right? Not that you really need it with this build. I have 5,400 ES regen per second, but it's not a bad thing to have. Chevrons. So here was a picture of my gear at the time I put this together. Chevrons 6 link is 2 exalts if you get a corrupted one, practically free. Or you can buy one uncorrupted, corrupt it yourself. You know, cross your fingers. But if you're doing a budget, just buy a corrupted one. Prism Guardian, that's practically free, 8 chaos. This belt right here, something breath, I'll look at in a second, is free. Alpha's Howl, that's not enchanted, because you don't need an enchant to get started with this. The enchant's nice, it helps you fit in more stuff, but for free. Okay. An anointed Presence of Chayula with quality, we're talking 1 exalt. So in total, just for the gear, 6 to 7 for Call the Brotherhood, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 exalts. Now, that's it for the gear. Now, where you're going to spend the rest of your money are your jewels, right? But you should be buying 4 large cluster jewels. Probably you can buy those, depending on what combo, for an exalt each or less. But let me give you some guidance on the large cluster jewels. When you buy a large cluster jewel, you'll notice this has 3 of them that say 1 added passive skill is. And then at the bottom, it's 2 added passive skills are jewel sockets, with a total of 8 passive skills. You can have up to 9. So I wrote it down here. But what's important is that because of the way this is set up, if there are 3 of them that say 1 added passive skill and 1 of them that's 2 added passive skills, and you only have 8 to 9, then 2 of those passive skills will be within one point of the starting point. Okay, it puts them right up here where you can get them with minimal to no investment. That's key, right? Because these passive points are important. And then right after those are the jewel sockets. So you get a really nice passive and then jewel sockets if you get good ones. If not, you'll end up wasting a lot of points. It just doesn't work out very well. So I highly suggest only adds 8 to 9 passive skills and this type of setup. So here I have it listed. 1 skill is X, Y, and Z. 2 jewel nodes, 8 to 9 passive skills, no more. Now, typically, not always, but typically, the prefixes are going to be the closest to your tree. So just keep that in mind. I'm not actually sure what the rule is for this, but in my experience, prefixes are 90% of the time, not 100% of the time, but 90% of the time closest to the tree. Next thing you're going to want are medium cluster jewels. And I said 2 of each, but I've changed my mind on this. A friend helped me work through these. He's pretty darn, well, he's smarter than me. So he's good at math and just thought through this too. It's always good to have someone else help brainstorm, especially for someone like me who I don't look at other people's guides beyond like day 1. And then I try to just piece it all together myself. And that's what I did with this, is I just tried to piece it all together myself. I started with 2 Purposeful Harbinger, Might, Aptitude, or Guile combinations, and that works really well. And at the time, it was very budget because Purposeful Harbinger Heraldry combos were like 4.5 plus exalts at the time. Now they have gone down in price since then, and the others have gone up in price since then. And in fact, the only way at the beginning that I could get Purposeful Harbinger and Aptitude which I was doing before anyone else was using the Megalomaniac jewels. Now, since then, they released a patch, so now you can do it together a lot easier. And so this is, again, a budget guide, not just for me, but for anyone. So I now suggest that you get 1 Purposeful Harbinger Guile, 1 Purposeful Harbinger Aptitude, 1 Purposeful Harbinger Might combo each, so a total of 3, and then 3 Purposeful Harbinger Heraldries. See, the reason that you do this, so I'll just put Heraldry times 3. And the reason you do it this way is because it's at some point when you get enough mana reservation, you start to see diminishing returns. Like if you're reserving 0 or 1% at this point, or especially 0%, at this point, you're not getting your money's worth out of your investment. Now, I might be wrong on my math on this. It's possible, for sure. But I found this works really well for me. It gives me the amount of reservation that I need. And honestly, I probably should play around with it more and try more heraldries. And yes, there are better approaches, like probably using the 10% sequels and going chaos inoculation is probably better. But frankly, that's not a budget approach because it's way more expensive. The sequels alone, 6 link, you're looking at like 8 to 10 exalts again. So I'm just going to say, for now, this works really well, and it's a good approach. Again, on medium cluster jewels, no more than 4 to 5 passive skills, because if you have any more than that, then you are wasting skill points. So don't always craft them yourself with bound fossils. For the heraldry ones, I suggest just buying them for these because frankly, people hit these all the time on accident and they'll sell them for cheap. So, I mean, relatively cheap. Now, my optional but highly recommended down there, I'm taking that off because it's no longer my recommendation. Let's not talk about that. I've learned since then better approaches. So let's talk about auras and whatnot and fun stuff like that. Ascendancies are pretty standard. I think everyone does this for Guardian. Auras, well, get as many as you can. And you don't have to run Righteous Fire. As a matter of fact, I probably shouldn't be running this because I don't need the damage. But I think it looks cool, so I like it and I use it. And I love having huge damage anyways, and this just makes it even more huge. As you can see, I had to sacrifice either Righteous Fire or Flame Dash, and I chose Righteous Fire, even though Flame Dash is better. I'm working on getting a good Corrupt for my Chayula, because if I do, then I can get like a Purity on it instead, so it'll open up a socket for me, because sockets are in high demand. But as you can see, I've failed on my double Corrupt, and then my single Corrupt. It looks really cool, but Life Leech does nothing for me, so I'm just sticking to good old Presence of Chayula. And notice I went for Chaos Resistance. A lot of people go for Energy Shield. I personally think Chaos Resistance is more important. That is the Achilles heel of this build, because while we can cap everything else, I have 76% Fizz damage reduction, which probably I could get higher somehow, probably doing like some Fortify, or I don't know. It could probably be higher, but it's pretty good as it is. 90% all res. And then I have 53% Chaos Resistance, and that's because of my Chayula and my crafted boots. So I highly suggest crafting boots that have Chaos Resistance on them. I made these myself. Chaos Resistance, Energy Shield, good combo. Again, there could be better boots, right? These aren't the best boots in the world. One of the things I did do, Beta Breath, very cheap belt, easy to corrupt. I went for increased skill effect duration because for Spark, skill effect duration really matters, because that means they can hit more times. potentially. With a 2-second in total skill duration, you can hit 3 times. Anyways, Spark or Arc are going to be your choices. Again, because EK is too expensive, it limits you on the Watcher's Eye. You could play with your Watcher's Eye. There's tons of options, so many options. I decided to go with 30 Energy Shield on hit because I think that's pretty cool. It's fun to have. And phasing. My gosh, phasing is great to have. And these are things that you can't easily afford on the EK version. So I went with Asenath's Gentle Touch, but that's not what I started with. Okay, this is an upgrade. What I started with was Maligaros. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but Maligaros, 300% crit multi set at that. It's a really good choice. Until you're ready to really start investing in the build, I would stick with Maligaro's gloves because, well, they're good, especially for the price. But when you can start affording some ES crit multi jewels, and when you start getting up in higher levels, and now you've started to unlock some of these jewel nodes on the outside here. And see, I'm still waiting to unlock that one when I level next. When you start unlocking these, now you can put in, well, I got really lucky on this. I crafted that dual crit multi ES. Got really lucky, but you can start putting in single crit multi ES jewels, and they add up. Percent ES is so important for this build because you get so much flat from the heralds. Percent ES really multiplies it. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. Oh, Asenaths. So yeah, once you can upgrade to start getting some crit multi in your jewels and in your skill tree, that's what I did. Then you can start switching to really cool gloves. I use this one for clear. Probably could switch to like some Val ones. But again, these are gradual upgrades that you can do. You don't need to start out with this. It's still great before you get to this gear. I also happen to have a perfect Nebulous. Again, not needed. This is like an amazing Nebulous, hands down amazing. I made this just yesterday, which is crap because I hit Anger of all things. Still using regular one here. Trashed one yesterday also. I found it. I found one on the ground. And then I destroyed it with a Battle Orb. But yeah, Call of the Brotherhood, standard, expensive item. Triula, not that expensive, and Exalt. I haven't even corrupted my Prism Guardian yet. I did craft this the other day. I'm quite proud of this. It's a Burning Alpha's Howl. That's what I'm going to call it. It's Warlords. Alpha's Howl with 20% reduced mana reservation on my discipline, which, you know, I used to run Enlighten, which you don't need at all. Enlighten 4, it's unnecessary. But I was able to take that off. Again, gradual upgrades. Like, you don't need these things off the bat. But I'm showing you guys what I have because I don't want you to look at my character profile and go, oh, well, look at this crap he's running. Of course he's destroying all content. Well, I was destroying all content before I was running this stuff. But granted, now I destroy it even better. It's just more fun. And what I like about this build and what I want you guys to be able to enjoy is that you can gradually upgrade your gear. One of the things you'll also notice that I'm not showing you is 1% reserved mana nodes. That's another place where they hit you on the budget. That's where things get really expensive, are those 1% mana nodes. Reserved, I don't have any of that. Not a single 1% reserved mana node. Have I tried for those? Yes, and I'm extremely unlucky when it comes to that, apparently. It would be cool to add to my build, but it doesn't need it. I don't even know where actually I do. I'd start running my Aspect if I got a couple more. And then my DPS would be bonkers because I went with Aspect to the Avian, which in my opinion is the best because it can do double damage, which means really long freezes. Yes, more damage is consistent from like Aspect of the Spider, but Avian does double damage. So if you hit with a freeze, you hit really hard. So that's what I think is the best. That's what I would run. once I get there. Not there yet. And then I double corrupted my shavs. I got really, really lucky on that one and hit ES and +2 duration gems. So as far as these guys are concerned, these are pretty standard. I'm not running a Ball of Faith because I just didn't feel like buying one. I don't really need one. I guess since I'm talking about this, I'll go ahead and show you guys how it runs. I haven't even done that. I don't even remember what this map is, but I'm pretty sure it's one of the cool ones. So whenever I do a video, I always somehow manage to kill myself. I don't know how or why. I never get killed any other time, but now will be a perfect time for me to start this great video and just die somehow. Is this Uber? No, this is probably just regular Elder or something.
My mana is spent.
As you can see, the damage is pretty alright. If I've learned anything, it's whenever I do a video, don't intentionally tank anything because that's just stupid. You can see I'm freezing him. I'm literally freezing him. I didn't even think that was possible until I did this build. So I could probably just like sit here and not move. Yeah, watch, they'll show up and disappear as soon. You can't even see the little portals show up. They're just there and gone. That's how good the damage is. So I'm just gonna sit here and go through this. But now granted, when I started, like, the damage was great. I don't think it was this great. It was great, but it wasn't like doing this. This is when you start to keep upgrading your stuff, you know. It helps to have insane crit chance, crit multi. I think crit multi is just so important to all builds. So when you just cap yourself and don't think about it anymore, you're really, I don't know, shooting yourself in the foot, I think, in the long run. I know that's what everyone's doing, and they're doing like insane stuff, but I would say this is pretty insane. I'm not even using my flasks right now at all. So yeah, just keep in mind, this can be done on a budget. I mean, the core of this build is going to cost you, now, not a 1 exalt budget, but the core of this build is going to cost you about 11 exalts to get up and running. I would say 20 exalts really to buy all the gems. Dang, I already killed him.
To me, Exile,
So
quickly.
sick. I probably won't get Watcher's Eye though. I never do. Of course not.
So that was the Elder.
Never
What
get Watcher's Eye.
monstrous power.
I don't know how other people ever get Watcher's Eyes. Probably through cards. That's all I got. But anyways, so haste is really cool. Let's see, what else do I need to show you guys? Oh yeah, so just the basics. If you're gonna go Spark, I would suggest not going Spark until later on. Once you get really good stuff, I would say Arc. But if you do go Spark, don't forget to get the Hazardous Research Jewel. It makes it go in all directions, which just makes your clear disgusting. This is pretty standard. Energy from Within gives you a lot of energy shield. I highly suggest you take Arcane Vision because you're going low life and everything is black. If you don't take this, it's 100% worth it. When you're leveling, well, I'll talk about leveling in a second. I'll try to run one more map for you too. Intuitive Leap. This is nice because it saves you 2 points, but you don't have to have it. It's an Exalt, I think, so that's another cost. And the rest of these, all these should just be Energy Shield with Crit Multi. And I will say one other thing, a really nice advantage of taking the Pure Might, Pure Guile, Pure Aptitude combos is that you get stats from them. So for example, here I have Pure Guile, and Pure Guile gives me 20 Dexterity. Well, that's where this build suffers, is stats. So getting 20 Dex and 20 Strength and 20 Int, those are all good. You're not struggling on Int, but Int's always good anyways. And I get a chance to blind enemies on hit, energy shield recovery, and block recovery. So they're all really nice to take. Here I have a Megalomaniac Jewel, and I originally bought it for the Purposeful Harbinger, Endbringer, and Mindfulness, because having extra mana regen is awesome for Arc, and it's probably really awesome for this build, but honestly, I'm going to drop Endbringer. It doesn't add that much damage at this point, because I have so much increased damage just from the Nebulous, and that Endbringers don't add that much. I'm going to start going different routes. I'll probably do like screen. I don't know. I'm not going to give away my secrets yet, but I've got a few new approaches I'm going to take. And right now I have this totally wasted spot because I was originally thinking replenishing presence was the way to go. Well, it's not, because it doesn't hardly give me anything. What gives me a lot is vitality. And if you look at my energy shield recharge, energy shield regenerated per second, I have a total of 7,800 or 7,900 energy shield. I regenerate 5,400 per second. That's really good. It's sick. It feels good. So let me see if I could just run I'll just run this. These are supposed to be dangerous, right? I've got it on hand. I just got it from that map. I don't want to run the whole thing because I'm slow at maps. Not my character's not slow at maps. I'm slow at maps. I just like to take my time and dilly-dally. Like a lot of people run, drop one, and go to the next pack. Like I can do that, but I don't like to play that way. I like to just come in here, like, just make sure I didn't miss a single one, even though I won't. I know I don't miss them very often, but like I'll backtrack a lot and whatever. It's just my style of playing maps. But you can see like I go in and the screen explodes, right? Like I just cast once and the screen will explode. I kind of suck at aiming, but it's fun. That's why I like, this is an upgrade, you know, to Asnats. Before that, the screen pretty much explodes with Arc really well too. So, you know, it's just probably I was better off with Arc, but when I hit Arc's better, I think, but I hit +2 to duration gems on my shavs, which means with Spark I can hit like insane levels. With that and the added lightning gem, I get +3 on my Spark. And so I like really big freezes, and I can, well, actually, where's the boss here? I'll show you. I'll probably kill the boss in one hit, though. But if not, hopefully I'll get to see a freeze. Now, I'm not dumb enough to stand it. Oh, see there. Do you see the boss was just completely frozen? Couldn't move at all. Didn't last very long, sadly. But anyways, that's all I wanted to show. I'm going to go back to the video. Okay, so quick overview. I showed you the skill tree, which I think is the most important thing to understand and see. Now, and I've shown you my gear, so really that's it. Hopefully you enjoy, and hopefully you can learn something from this. My, where's my character? Oh, I've shown my character name. It's Tarnish Tries Again. Feel free to, you know, ask me any questions in game. I'm not going to link a POB. I've already shown you all this stuff, and the bottom line is POB doesn't calculate the numbers correctly for me, and I don't want you guys to go on that path. If you want to look up my POB, you can. Actually, you can't unless I give you my account name, which is, I don't know if that's smart to give that away on the internet. Whatever. Just watch the video. I showed it all in there. You'll figure it out. Ask me questions in game. Whatever. I don't care. I'm always glad to help, and I hope this works out for you if you try this path. I just really wanted other people to have the opportunity to give this a try before GGG nerfs the hell out of it, which they probably will. It's just a lot of fun, and when you play it without voices, where voices truly abuse the build. I mean, they take it, when you have a perfect voice, like a 1-point voice, yeah, that's abusing the build. This, the way I'm playing right here, yeah, it's a little disgusting, but it was disgusting with investment, a reasonable amount, not an insane amount, and I gradually got there. It wasn't just like, yeah, it was really good off the bat, but it gets better and better. Oh, okay. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking about that. I will give one final talk about how to level. My advice is, since we're mid league and you have some money probably if you're doing this, literally just follow the tree. Okay, just follow the tree and buy yourself some 7 league steps. Get yourself dual poet pins. Use I don't remember what people are using nowadays, Unearth or Desecrate Dead with Volatile Dead. Okay, Volatile Dead in one. I used Unearth in the other. Probably Spell Cascade, whatever. Pick whatever. It's gonna work. Like, you're gonna just demolish as soon as you can start using the Poet's Pins. Get yourself some Barracks passes and some Tamings, and then by the time you're like level 62 to 64, you can start equipping all your equipment. You've already spec'd into anywhere from 1 to 3 of these. Prioritize the mana reservation nodes over everything else. You want to get this one, these two, these guys over there. Those are your priorities. Hit those. After you hit those, start setting up your Heraldry or Purposeful Harbinger jewels. Purposeful Harbinger is the most important thing you can get on any of your jewels. So always have Purposeful Harbinger. Don't worry about anything else. This Purposeful Harbinger, number 1. You can work out the rest from there. And then as far as what to put where, you're going to want to put your 50% mana reservation gems on your shield. Okay? That's the only piece of advice I have for you. The rest you can work out. You want to work it out so that you really don't have more than 10 life remaining in your life pool. So get as much life reserved on a blood magic setup, so blood magic support, and it varies depending on your equipment and levels and whatever. So you just it's a puzzle. You piece it together and you'll figure it out. But just shoot for 10%, 10 life left on your tree, or less if you're really lucky, and just enough mana to cast Spark or to cast your skill. And level clarity up as much as you can till you're at that point. Level clarity and precision up as much as you can. You want clarity to be the point where you can cast without worry, and you get, again, from all these heralds, insane mana regeneration. And from precision, you get really good crit percent, but there's other ways to get crit too. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Sorry it was so long. This is my first time making one of these, as you can tell, because I'm like all over the place. But I just wanted other people to have a chance to try this build out. So good luck.